Again, good evening, and thank you for being here for the 2024-25 budget hearing for the Liberty Central School District. Tonight, and to start, I'd like to explain our how and why of creating our proposed budget. First and foremost, Liberty's mission is the focal point of how we're looking to move forward and the basis or the foundation of our proposed budget. Some key items within our mission, which are the focal point, is empowering our students to pursue their potential and also creating an educational environment that cultivates trust and courage so our students are able to innovate and persevere. With that, throughout the budget process, our beliefs were true and relevant throughout the whole process. Our district, our Board of Education, has continuously committed to fiscal responsibility. We ensure throughout this proposed budget to continue with providing a physical and emotional safety for all of our students. We ensure to partner with educators, families, and the community as a whole for our students' success. Continue to develop and implement a robust educational program, and making sure that our students have a sense of belonging and having what they need in regards to resources to be successful. Here's the budget process. This timeline is established by New York State. Our district, and like many districts, had to take some additional steps in waiting on the state aid from Governor Hochul's office, and New York State state aid runs. But with that, the process actually began for us in December as we collaborated and communicated with our administrators as they spoke with their respective building team members to analyze and identify particular needs to continue to work towards our mission, vision, and beliefs. So with that, we're here in the budget hearing process, and the last portion of this schedule is the vote for the proposed budget, which will be on May 21st. And throughout the budget process, we've had some assumptions. Looking at the current analysis or proposed foundation aid runs, there is a slight increase due to the district's steps on and being cognizant of use of the federal funds due to the COVID pandemic. We ensured to utilize those funds with resources that we could continue with our general fund and ensured that we had items that wouldn't create costs moving forward as those funds would decrease or diminish or end. Also with that we have a strength in a fund balance moving into next year and with the remaining COVID funds. Our facility needs and upcoming capital project played a portion in our planning for the proposed budget for next year. In addition, an increase in fuel costs. And also, as needs change and within our buildings, as we continuously try to evolve our programming to support our students and want to make sure that we're allowing our students to have other avenues of education, of increasing cost in outside programming. For example, if a student would need additional resources that are provided by an alternative setting, such as our local BOCES, and also career and technical education opportunities at our local BOCES as well. Again, some important implications or considerations as we're creating this budget as the impact of the end of the federal grant funding and making sure that we're planning to sustain the program that we have acquired, and so to ensure that resources are still available for our students. As mentioned, our capital project implications. Our enrollment as well has played factors in our planning for this proposed budget. Our enrollment has been steady at approximately around 1,800 students, but the makeup of our demographic has shifted. With that, our student needs, for example, we've had an increase in multi-language learners, so all of those items and data points were essential in our planning. And again, every year we have programmatic, faculty, and staff contractual commitments, as that is an item that was considered with this as well. As some staffing updates within this proposed budget, again, as mentioned with our student needs and shifts in our demographic, a TESOL, or English Language Learner teacher, to support our students within the elementary school, creating a administrative athletic director as being the second largest school within Sullivan County, and with an extensive athletic program and wanting to expand our opportunities, seeing that there was a need for that, and continuing to support our student athletes. Merging 2 part-time teacher aide positions at Liberty Middle School to create 1 teacher aide position, and this position will support with supervision, safety, and student learning. Other items is we're continuing with our implementation of our HMH and ELA and math curriculum for grades K through 8. As with the Science 21 and Next Generation Science standards, and with the needs, the curricular needs of the science investigations, to ensure that we're investing in this proposed budget to invest in these educational needs for our students. Looking to expand or diversify our opportunities for our students with the Syracuse University Project Advanced College courses, specifically at Liberty High School for chemistry and living environment. Looking to expand our computer science and create some more computer science and artificial intelligence related programming. Additional extracurricular opportunities, again, finding ways for students to take part in activities that are of their interest, creating that sense of belonging. Partnering with a group named Invention Land, which will help us update our innovation lab that is next to our middle school library. With the facility changes that will need to take place per the New York State Department of Education's regulations of mascot, as last year we've had a shift in our mascot and it being now the Red Hawks. And also a big piece is knowing the importance of providing students what they need with supplies, as the district is proposing to provide all school supplies for the students of Liberty Elementary School. So as the next portion of our presentation, I'd like to introduce Ms. Laureen McKenna, who will go through the financial pieces.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to share with you the proposed 24-25 school budget for Liberty Central School District, talk about the expenditures that the district is proposing, and then the funding for the proposed budget. So here you can see the district is proposing a $68,034,294 budget for the 24-25 school year. It is an increase of just over $1.7 million from our current school budget, and a 2.62% increase overall, well within the property tax cap that the district has computed. In order to support this proposed 24-25 budget, the district is proposing a tax levy that is the same as the 23-24 school year, $17,760,162. This is a 0% increase. The district has worked very hard to maintain a 0% increase over the past several years. Last year, the district was fortunate to reach fully funded status under the state aid, and at that time followed the guidelines of Governor Hochul and returned tax money to the taxpayers, which lowered our tax levy at that time. And this year we're happy to say we're proposing to maintain that lower tax levy of $17.7 million. So our proposed budget is split into three portions. This is a division that is determined by the state to show our costs. So approximately $7.3 million in administrative costs, $7.9 million in capital, which is facilities costs, and then the bulk of our budget, $52.7 million in programming. As you can see in this slide, we have worked very diligently to prepare a budget that shows the slight increases that goes along with the increase of our state aid, maintains and enhances our programming, but is also cognizant of the taxpayer. So here is a breakdown of some of the expenditures into a few more specific areas. Again, there are some areas of increase due to contractual costs, due to relocating funding, making sure that we're using our money in the most fiscally responsible area. An area of decrease is within our debt service, and this is due to the fact that the district has not had a capital project in a while, something we're remedying here in the near future, and will help support us as we continue on. So looking at this graphic, we can see a large portion of our budget is meant for contractual needs as well as programming. That is the focus of this 24-25 proposed budget, and then the needs of our facilities and other supplies. Over the course of the last 5 years, the district maintained a pretty steady budget until this current year, 23-24, where you do see a significant jump. That was due to the increase in foundation aid that the district received from the state of New York. Prior to 23-24, the district had been an underfunded school district, and during that school year finally reached fully funded status. In years prior, that would usually mean that in the next year the district was entitled to a 3% increase on their foundation aid. However, at this time, after we waited to hear Governor Hochul's final decision on her budget, she has just maintained funded status with maybe a slight increase depending on how the formula worked out for a district, which we were fortunate to receive. So the district has worked very hard to create a budget to work within these parameters and still provide for our students and our community. We have a slight increase in our expenditures in terms of salaries and benefits, and again in our equipment and supplies, and our debt transfer. So how does the Liberty Central School District fund this budget and support the programming and needs of the students and our community? There are three main areas of revenue: our property tax, our state aid, and then the other source, which is other smaller federal aid, property rentals, different items, tuition from students out of district, those areas. The two main areas of focus obviously are property taxes and state aid. So as you can see in this slide, we did see a slight increase in our state aid, some in our foundation aid, and then some in our expenditure aid. A district is funded through two sources of state aid: foundation aid, which is a formula that involves many different components of a district, including your enrollment, your consumer price index, your cost, and things like that. As I mentioned earlier, Liberty finally reached fully funded status since the evolution of foundation aid in 2007 in the 23-24 school year. The other area that works with state aid is expenditure aid, and that is based on items that we purchase, such as textbooks or our capital project. That money that is expended out, then the state reimburses us at certain rates, and that returns in the following year. We did see a bit of an increase in that area as well. One must always be cautious, though, when looking at state aid numbers. We received our first numbers in February, our second numbers in April, when the governor finished her budget and signed it. However, it always needs to be reminded that that is an estimate, and so we need to be cognizant of that as we're creating a budget for the district. The district is primarily funded by state aid. Almost 75% of our funding is reliant on government aid. The other 25%, for the most part, comes from our local source, which again, the district has worked very diligently to maintain a zero increase in the tax levy and remain at $17.7 million. My previous slide showed a number, this slide shows a number a little higher than 17 million. That's because of some other taxable entities in there, such as pilots. So that's why this number here says 19 million. But the tax levy, as I will reiterate again, is a 0% increase at 17.7 million. So over the past 5 years, the district has seen their revenue increase, again with the big jump occurring in the current 23-24 school year, but that amount of money leveling off. As shown here, a little bit of federal funding less, and so making up for that. The district has worked very diligently to be cognizant of the needs of our taxpayers, and along with a great deal of staff here in the district, the Board of Education, all of us, we've worked very hard this year to continue that and propose this budget with an increase of 2.62% and maintain that 0% tax levy and continue to offer many different opportunities for our students. The opportunity to vote on this proposed budget is on May 21st. It is also the Board of Education election. It will be held this year in the high school library and media center from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. I just wanted to clarify that because that is a new location and a new time. Any questions?
If not, that will conclude our budget hearing, and we'll be moving back over to the other side of the school, to the media center, for our regular school board meeting.